Hello friends, welcome to our Touch of Light satsang. I'm Dharma Devi and this is Narayan, and we're happy to be with you today and sharing on Nayaswami Devi's latest blog, How to Water a Garden. And before we get into the blog, we wanted to chant with you, and then we'll have a brief centering meditation, and then we'll read Devi's blog and have time to share on that blog. And if you'd like to, you can add to the discussion. If you're at anandala.tv, you can type in, you can chat with us there, and I'll try to also check on Facebook Live as well. So we are happy you're with us, and we'll get started with this chant of Paramhansa Yogananda's called At Thy Feet. Listen to my soul's song, listen to my heart's song. In secret, in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee. Dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet. Listen to my soul's song, listen to my heart's song. Listen to my soul's song, listen to my heart's song. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee. Dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet. Listen to my soul's song, listen to my heart's song. Listen to my soul's song, listen to my heart's song. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee. Dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet. Listen to my soul's song, listen to my heart's song. Listen to my soul's song, listen to my heart's song. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee. Dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee. Dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet. Dipping them in devotion, I will lay them at thy feet. Now sit up straight, close your eyes, lift your gaze gently upward as if you're gazing out at a beautiful mountain peak in the distance. Take a few deep, calming, soothing breaths in and out through the nose, feeling as you inhale your belly inflate, and as you exhale, feel the belly drawing back in. Taking some conscious diaphragmatic breaths, becoming centered in this present moment, letting go of the past and any preoccupations with the future. Releasing, letting go. Om. Peace. Amen. So now I'll read to you Nayaswami Devi's Touch of Light blog, and I'll show it here on the screen so you can read along with me. My alarm clock went off in the early hours each morning. Though it was still dark and often cold, I knew that if I didn't get up immediately, I'd be late. My small trailer had no electricity or running water. I'd light a kerosene lamp, wash up with water from a gallon jug I carried home each day, and then sit to meditate. My meditation completed, after grabbing a quick breakfast, I'd rush off to meet our head gardener, Hanel Cassidy, at 7 a.m. to catch a ride to start the workday on the farm. Hanel had had a lifetime of experience in organic gardening, with some 70 years to his credit, and had become a dear friend and mentor. He would always be there waiting in his green Toyota pickup truck, Tigger. So began each day during my first years at Ananda village, working with people who were to become my lifelong friends and learning gardening skills from Hanel. These remain among the greatest joys of my life. We didn't need to look far to see spiritual lessons in almost everything we learned about raising vegetables. The climate at Ananda village is one of extremes. It's either constant rain or drought. Watering the cultivated acres during the long dry season was always a challenge. Here are some things I learned about life from watering our gardens. Connect to a source. All of our irrigation was done with gravity-fed water lines from reservoirs higher up than the gardens. Keeping the water system functioning and in good repair required our constant attention. Lesson: if you want to grow spiritually, look for people of higher wisdom. Keep a good inward connection with them, and have the humility to allow them constantly to water your consciousness. Channel the water where you want it to go. The vegetable beds were set on a slight downward slope so that gravity would draw the water from the top to the bottom. With our hose, we'd dig one main trench across the top of the bed, and then smaller trenches feeding off of it, leading to each row. Each day we'd open or close the smaller trenches to allow the water to flow where it was needed. Lesson: life is full of choices. Direct your energy to where you will spiritually benefit the most and block off the other options. Watch out for impediments to the flow. Sometimes if we were inattentive, we didn't notice that a rock or lump of soil had fallen into a trench and was diverting the water. Later we'd come back to discover the vegetable rows were still dry, while the weeds around the garden were sitting in big muddy pools. Lesson: always be on the watch for harmful attitudes or habits that are blocking the flow of your energy. That energy must go somewhere, and usually finds its way along the course of least resistance. Be sure to water the whole garden. We had to pay close attention to ensure that every row was getting the moisture it needed so that the entire garden could flourish. Gardens are most productive and happiest when every plant is getting what is required. Lesson: live a balanced life. Don't neglect any area, but sure make, what, sorry.
Be sure, but be sure.
Don't neglect any area, but be sure, wait, I'm sorry.
But make sure that all aspects.
But make sure that all aspects, body, mind, and soul, are getting the energy they need. In these ways, I learned that God can be found in watering gardens, for His presence is everywhere. As our guru Paramhansa Yogananda wrote, like a silent, invisible river flowing beneath the desert, flows the vast, dimensionless river of spirit through the sands of time, through the sands of experience, and through the sands of all souls. May the flow of divine grace always water your soul. Nayaswami Devi.
So I would like to share just one brief aspect of Devi's blog here on balance. And Yogananda ji said that in Autobiography of a Yogi that this new age that we've now entered, it's where the spiritual efficiency of the East will merge with the material efficiency of the West. And in fact, Babaji has talked about that this being a new golden path for this new age, this balanced golden path of spiritual and material efficiency. And the way that she offered this idea here of weeding and watering our garden, that's one of the keys to help us live a balanced life. Because we live, as many of us do, in cities, and we have families, we have jobs, we have very busy lives. It's not the age for us to run off to a Himalayan cave, whereas in Kali Yuga and the Darker Ages, people did cloister and go into monasteries to live a spiritual life. In fact, the monasteries really held on to the noble aspirations for people and were the light of hope in the Dark Ages. But now that we're in this ascending age of Dwapara Yuga, this age of energy, we have this new expression that is trying to come out of the balanced life. And that begins with what Devi was sharing, to first connecting to a higher source, a higher power. So that is why meditation is so essential for our spiritual growth and our spiritual evolution, because without meditation we cannot connect to that higher source. Our mind just continues to run amok. Like Yogananda said in his poem, without meditation mind, hither thither wanders thou. If we don't meditate, the mind just is restless and fickle, and it just will go on. Dharma Devi and I were driving through Hollywood the other night, and there was a woman on a megaphone, screaming, "If you don't accept Jesus, you're going to hell." And no one was really, it was so noisy in Hollywood, no one was really paying attention to her. But that's what happens with our mind. It just gets more and more restless, louder and louder, until we take that time to connect to that higher source or that higher power. And we do that through meditation. We've talked a lot about prayer. And prayer we could think of as talking to God, whereas meditation is listening. I mean, how often are we consciously listening to our loved ones, to our friends? There's so much noise and interruption with technology and cell phones and everything, that if we can practice this art of listening, first to God in meditation, then we're connected to that higher source and that higher power that can then animate our daily life. And that's where our activity with the balanced life comes into play. That the type of activity that we want is God saturated. It's that we're always reminded of God, so that when we go about our daily activities, we can begin to see God in everything that we do. And of course, this is going to take practice. People often lament about the spiritual path. Why it's so difficult? Well, as Swami Kriyananda said in his Essence of the Gita, of course it's difficult. It's the pearl of great price. But if we just come at it with this simple approach that Devi was sharing of plain living and high thinking, this balanced approach of connecting to a higher power and then allowing that water of divine grace to flow into all aspects of our lives, then we find by some invisible hand that our life is guided. And we find that we're led to say the right thing or the right action or the right decision at the right time for us. And so this is one of the keys to true growth, and especially in this age, to have this kind of balance where we tap in through meditation and then we go about our activity. And this is why Jesus Christ said to seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added unto you. I can't tell you how many times I feel that before I sit for meditation that I just feel restless. And then after I meditate, I feel like, oh, well, everything seems centered and I seem more calm and peaceful. Now, why was that? It was simply because I took a little bit of time to allow that grace to come in. But then as we meditate more and more, we can hold on to that contact in our activity. And that's what we're really going for, that our entire life becomes a meditation, so that we're not, again, running away, but we're running towards. And we can find that grace, we can find that those God reminders in everything that we do and from everyone that we meet. So anyway, those are some thoughts that came to me from reading Nayaswami Devi's blog this week.
Yeah, and I'll just share a little bit on this particular lesson. There are so many lessons and so much depth in this blog of Devi's, but the one I wanted to focus on is, if you want to grow spiritually, look for people of higher wisdom and keep a good inward connection with them, and have the humility to allow them constantly to water your consciousness. This is such a powerful satsang. Satsang is good company, keeping the company of the saints, of the masters, of those that we're striving to be like. So when you meet someone that you feel, wow, she seems so calm, or he seems so centered, even amongst challenging times, stick with those people. Feel that those are your true friends, because those people that uplift you when you're with them, they really are your truest friends. They're those souls that will help you across the ocean of delusion. It says in the Indian scriptures that one moment in the presence of a saint can be your raft over the ocean of delusion. And so for me, for example, just getting to be with Nayaswami's Jyotish and Devi, we were in Palo Alto, I think it was last weekend, not this past weekend, but the one before that, in Palo Alto. They had the Yogananda Fest there. Beautiful event, and so just being with so many souls that have that focus of being in peace, of being in joy and sharing that joy, and especially getting to be just even in close proximity with Jyotish and Devi. I really felt this lesson on such a deeper level, because I could feel my consciousness changing just being around them, and not just being around them, but being around them consciously. I had to really consciously attune my consciousness to their consciousness. It wasn't just I plopped myself next to them. It was that I was really feeling that there was this wave of divine grace that, like, basically it was their energy field, it was their aura, and being in that aura with consciousness, I could attune my vibration to theirs, and I could feel it being lifted. And that went on for days after leaving. And I, reading this blog, I could tell, if I could stay in tune with them, more consciously at a distance, how much better my life would be. So we have the physical proximity, but of course our guru Yogananda isn't with us in the physical body, but we attune to his consciousness to the best of our ability every time we sit to meditate, every time we eat, every time we're with our families and friends. So it's a constant process of attuning ourselves, having the humility to say, I don't know what's best. I know that I still have an ego. If we're not in complete and utter bliss every moment of the day, we still have work to do. So when we know that, we can have humility and say, I want to tune into a consciousness greater than mine. And so find those people that uplift your consciousness and really cling to them, not in a clingy kind of way, but in a supportive and mutually respectful way. Because when you feel that it's why the Indian greeting of Namaste is such a beautiful greeting. It's a soul meeting another soul. My soul bows to the light in your soul. And so feel that even when you don't do this posture outwardly, feel that you're just mentally bowing to every soul, because really everyone has something that they can offer to us if we're open in a sincere way to feeling God flow through each soul. So with that being said, we'd like to open it up. We have a few minutes in case anyone would like to ask any questions or share anything online. Again, if you weren't here earlier, the website is anandala.tv. You can chat through there, or if you're on the Facebook Live, I can see your comments here as well. It's nice to see so many of our friends joining. Thank you, from Dara. Yes, and
if you're not already receiving Jyotishan Devi's weekly blog, you can go on, I think it's Touch of Light.
No, it's jyotishandevi.org.
Jyotishan Devi.
Or on ananda.org. You can also sign up for their blog on ananda.org.
Highly recommend that if you're not getting it. They send them out every Friday, and they're always a pleasure to read.
Okay. Well, thank you, great souls. We're so happy to get to share with you, and we'll also see you on Thursday, hopefully, at 5 p.m. Pacific. We have an ongoing satsang on the path of self-realization. Last week we shared on posture. This week we'll go into more of the relaxation techniques on our great path here. So namaste, many blessings. Bye-bye.